In a world drowning in noise, silence is no longer passive, it's a weapon. Welcome to Shut Up and Win, written and published by Mindful Literary. This book isn't about muting your voice. It's about sharpening it into a blade, used with precision, power, and purpose. It's about understanding that every word you speak either builds your leverage or drains it away. I invite you into a different kind of power. Not the loud, exhausting kind. The kind that moves mountains with a whisper. The kind that commands a room without fighting for attention. If you've ever felt the urge to explain yourself, to fill the silence, to prove your worth by speaking louder, longer, faster, you're not alone. But if you want real power, it's time to speak less and win more. Let's begin. Introduction: The Age of Noise and the Lost Art of Silence. The compulsion to overshare. Understanding the societal pressure to share personal narratives unveils a complex web of motivations and consequences. In a digital age defined by connectivity, the urge to broadcast intimate details has woven itself into the fabric of everyday life. We are bombarded by a culture that rewards transparency and vulnerability. Social media platforms act as amplifiers of this ethos. The more we share, the more validated we feel, as if each like or comment is a nod of approval from our peers. This cycle breeds an insatiable desire to reveal more, fostering a collective narrative that pushes individuals to bare their souls in public forums. However, beneath this facade of openness lies a precarious balance, a delicate interplay between the authentic self and the persona crafted for the world. As we disclose more personal experiences, the implications begin to surface. Oversharing can lead to emotional exhaustion and make it challenging to establish genuine connections, ultimately transforming what was once a sacred personal space into a public spectacle. Exploring how oversharing diminishes the value of authentic communication is essential in understanding its nuanced repercussions. When every nuance of one's life is laid bare for consumption, the boundaries that traditionally framed meaningful interactions begin to erode. Authenticity becomes diluted in the barrage of information, turning personal insights into mere content for engagement. Relational intimacy degrades into a scrolling feed of curated experiences, leaving little room for genuine conversation. The subtleties of emotional exchange are lost in a sea of overexposure, making it difficult for individuals to discern what truly matters. As we navigate through this landscape, it becomes clear that the essence of communication relies on discretion and the art of selective sharing. A context-driven approach to self-disclosure not only preserves the sanctity of individual experiences, but also enhances the quality of interactions. Recognizing this can guide us towards more meaningful engagements, emphasizing the importance of depth over breadth in our connections. A practical tip for navigating this landscape involves adopting a mindful approach to sharing. Before broadcasting personal content, consider the purpose behind the decision. Is it to connect, inspire, or elicit sympathy? By taking a moment to reflect, we can reestablish the boundaries of our personal narrative and make choices that enrich rather than deplete our relational experiences. Practicing restraint can lead to a more profound understanding of ourselves and those around us, allowing for the cultivation of authentic connections while honoring the sanctity of our private lives. How modern culture rewards volume over value. The prevailing modern culture fosters a peculiar dynamic where noise and distraction triumph over meaningful dialogue and true communication. As social media platforms become ubiquitous, the sheer volume of information, much of it trivial and superficial, overshadows profound insights. The algorithms that govern our interactions reward those who shout the loudest rather than those who articulate the most effectively. Thoughtful discourse is drowned out by a cacophony of opinions, where the quantity of engagement is valued over the substance of ideas. This shift has created an environment where individuals feel compelled to escalate their rhetoric to be heard, often resorting to sensationalism or hyperbole, which distorts genuine conversations that could foster understanding or inspire action. Our attention spans shrink as we navigate a continuous stream of distractions, causing depth to fade into the background while flashiness becomes the currency of communication. This cultural transition has insidious effects on our relationships and decision-making processes. In a society that values sound bites and headlines, the nuances of personal interactions are easily lost. People often feel pressured to conform to the prevailing noise, trading honest exchanges for superficial affirmations. As a result, misunderstandings proliferate, and connections that could thrive on vulnerability and shared understanding instead falter in an atmosphere heavy with misinterpretation. Decision-making suffers similarly. When choices are framed by the loudest voices rather than grounded in critical analysis, the outcomes can veer toward knee-jerk reactions rather than thoughtful risk assessments. The dynamics of power shift, as those adept at crafting compelling narratives, regardless of their accuracy, command attention and sway opinions through sheer volume. Why silence is no longer passive, it's a weapon. Silence is often perceived as mere absence, a void where words should fill. Yet, this interpretation underestimates the potent energy that silence can hold. Strategically wielded, silence becomes a powerful tool, conveying authority and control without uttering a word. When someone chooses silence in a meeting, it can serve as a bold statement rather than an empty gesture. This act can unnerve adversaries, leaving them grappling for interpretation while the silence sits heavy in the room. The dynamics of power shift when one party understands and embraces the significance of silence. It can communicate disapproval, contemplation, or a tactical withdrawal. In high-stakes negotiations, silence acts as a mirror reflecting the discomfort of the opposing side, often compelling them to break first and reveal their own vulnerabilities. In such instances, silence is a strategy. It invites introspection and forces dialogue on terms that remain undefined, yet palpable. Throughout history, silence has played pivotal roles in shaping outcomes of significant events. Consider the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, a defining moment of the Cold War where silence became an unsung partner to tension. President Kennedy chose to remain silent regarding the American stance, creating a pressure cooker of uncertainty that ultimately pressured Soviet Premier Khrushchev into a corner. His silence led to contemplation, and in the end, the resolution was reached not through flourish and bravado, but through a careful choice of when to speak and when to hold back. Another powerful example lies in the realm of civil rights. The deafening silence that surrounded racial injustices in the United States during the 1960s galvanized movements. Activists strategically used silence, sitting down in quiet protest, marching in nonviolent assemblies, to spotlight the injustices of a society unwilling to engage in conversation. Rather than dispersing into noise, they chose moments of silence that screamed for attention, thereby shifting the tides in the dialogue about civil rights. The key takeaway here is to recognize the transformative power of silence in our lives. In discussions, negotiations, or even personal relationships, there's an undeniable strength in withholding words. The next time you find yourself facing a moment of tension or confrontation, consider how employing a moment of silence might shift the dialogue. It is an art form, one that requires practice and awareness, but the ability to dictate moments of silence might just be one of the most powerful tools at your disposal. The mastery of this technique can create room for reflection, foster deeper understanding, and often lead to more fruitful exchanges. Chapter 1: The Psychology of Soundlessness. Why silence unnerves people. Silence holds a strange power, often viewed as a void, a space laden with unspoken words and unexpressed thoughts. This discomfort arises from our deep-seated need for connection, validation, and understanding in social interactions. The absence of sound creates an unsettling atmosphere, prompting many people to feel a sense of vulnerability. In quieter moments, we confront our thoughts, our insecurities, and our fears. Social settings thrive on dialogue, an exchange that reinforces bonds and signals acceptance. Therefore, silence disrupts this flow and can lead to an unmechanical tension, making individuals acutely aware of their surroundings and the weight of unaddressed emotions. What unfolds is more than just discomfort. It is a psychological dance that plays out in shared spaces, where the weight of silence can feel almost oppressive, urging individuals to fill the gap with words, any words, to reestablish comfort and normalcy. Silence during conversations often breeds anxiety, triggering a primal instinct to restore equilibrium. When someone goes silent, the mind races, pinpointing what might have caused the pause. Was something said that offended? Is there an underlying tension lurking beneath the surface? This worry can provoke defensive reactions, leading individuals to hastily fill the void with explanations, justifications, or even distractions. Defense mechanisms kick in as people strive to regain control over the narrative, masking their own discomfort with hasty repartee. The silence transforms from a state of stillness to a provocative force that insidiously gnaws at self-assurance, and can force participants into a reactive mode. Ultimately, the presence of silence can unravel the threads of conversation, muddying intentions and breeding misunderstandings while compelling us to engage in a psychological battle against our own insecurities. In social settings, cultivating comfort with silence can yield benefits. Practice sitting with silence in a variety of interactions, allowing moments of stillness to exist without immediate pressure to fill them. This can lead to deeper insights and more genuine exchanges, reducing the impulse to rush into words that may not be necessary. Embracing silence as an integral part of conversation can unlock richer experiences and understandings. Projection, discomfort, and the fear of ambiguity. The silence that falls between conversations can be laden with uncertainty, revealing much more than what is spoken. When individuals remain quiet, it often invites a chorus of internal narratives, leading others to project their deepest fears and insecurities onto the silent party. This psychological mechanism is rooted in our innate discomfort with ambiguity. When faced with the unknown, we seek refuge in our own interpretations, filling the void with our anxieties. A silent person may be assumed to be judgmental, uninterested, or harboring hidden agendas, while the truth could be far less dramatic. Perhaps they are simply reflecting, processing, or even experiencing their own struggles. The act of projecting fears onto someone else's silence not only distorts reality, but also perpetuates a cycle of misunderstanding and anxiety, as the projector's discomfort is often reflected back onto the very individual they misjudge. This discomfort is particularly significant in dependency-driven relationships, where silence can be interpreted as emotional withdrawal or even rejection. In such contexts, the stakes are heightened, and the fear of being abandoned often looms large. Silence, meant to be a space for introspection, can spiral into an arena rife with accusations and unfounded assumptions. Partners may frantically search for clues from one another's silence, interpreting it as a threat to the stability of their bond. This creates a destructive feedback loop, where silence begets suspicion, and suspicion fuels further silence. Recognizing that silence is not inherently negative can be transformative. It allows individuals to reclaim the narrative, focusing less on the potential meaning of the silence and more on understanding their own reactions to it. The journey through understanding ambiguity in communication starts with embracing discomfort rather than avoiding it. Rather than filling silence with assumptions, it can be helpful to cultivate a practice of curiosity. Asking open-ended questions or sharing personal experiences can help dispel the fog of misunderstanding. Engaging more deeply with oneself and one's emotions provides a clearer lens through which to view another person's silence. In doing so, the fear of ambiguity diminishes, paving the way for healthier interactions and stronger relationships. Acknowledging that silence can be a vital space for growth rather than a threat can not only alleviate pressure, but also enrich connections with others. The power of being unreadable in a world of open books. Maintaining an air of mystery in both personal and professional settings offers strategic advantages often underestimated in a world fixated on transparency. In a society where sharing everything seems to be the norm, the unreadable person can become a strategic asset. This allure stems from the ability to control the narrative around oneself. When you remain an enigma, you invite curiosity rather than assumptions, which can lead to more profound engagements. People are drawn toward those they cannot fully understand. It creates an intrinsic drive to decode a personality, making interactions more engaging and meaningful. This dynamic can especially benefit professional relationships, where being too open can lead to vulnerability and misinterpretations. By choosing when to reveal aspects of yourself and by keeping certain layers obscured, you position yourself as someone with depth, capable of surprise and unpredictability. This not only enhances your authority, but also empowers you to navigate complex social landscapes with confidence. The psychological appeal of an unreadable persona is rooted in fundamental human curiosity. The more we try to read someone, the more we become invested in them, often projecting our desires and fears onto their mysterious nature. Cultivating this persona starts with intentional self-awareness and strategic communication. Pay attention to what you choose to share and how you present your thoughts. Leaving gaps in information encourages others to engage with you more deeply, as they will inevitably seek to fill those spaces with their interpretations. A subtle smile, a delayed response, even an occasional pause during conversation can spark intrigue and compel others to lean in closer. Aim to create a narrative around your persona that highlights your strengths while keeping some details just out of reach. This balance allows you to foster connections built on intrigue rather than complete understanding. Being unreadable doesn't mean being entirely closed off. Rather, it highlights the importance of selective vulnerability. Mastering this art involves knowing when to reveal yourself and when to maintain an element of surprise. Focus on listening more than speaking. Engage with others, but let them lead the discussions often. This approach gives you the power to take in information without exposing too much about your own motives or thoughts. It builds a protective shield around your intentions, allowing you to engage on your terms. As you navigate through personal and professional realms, remember that your inscrutability is a tool. Use it wisely for cultivating interest, intrigue, and, when necessary, authority. A practical tip is to practice active listening combined with strategic pauses in conversation. This will not only enhance your engagement with others, but also leave them guessing about your next move. Chapter 2. Speech has a cost. Silence has leverage. Every word you speak creates commitments. Every word you speak carries weight. It molds reality and shapes how others perceive you. Spoken commitments become the bedrock of relationships, setting expectations that linger long after the utterance fades. When you declare a promise, you create a binding agreement in the minds of others. They latch onto your words with an expectation that you will follow through, often without questioning your intent or capacity. This phenomenon illustrates the power of language in influencing human interaction. The moment you express your intention, you gift others a lens through which to view you. They begin to build a narrative based on your declarations. This narrative is not just a story, it's a set of beliefs about your reliability, your character, and even your worth. If you fail to uphold your commitments, you don't just break a word, you fracture trust. The repercussions echo in their perception of you, shifting from respect to skepticism. The psychological games unfurl as individuals recalibrate their expectations based on your past utterances. Hence, your spoken words are more than mere communication. They are declarations that create dependencies and assumptions. The imprints of spoken commitments are indelible, sculpting reputations and shaping futures. The mere act of promising demands a careful consideration of the implications it has for how others will view you and interact with you in the tapestry of life. In stark contrast, silence can wield immense power, rendering spoken words almost superfluous. The absence of words can serve as a powerful tool, embodying strength, mystery, and autonomy. Silence allows for contemplation, giving space for deeper self-awareness and reflection. While promises can limit possibilities by locking you into commitments, silence opens doors. It creates a vast expanse where thoughts can breathe, and emotions can evolve without the constraints of expectation. When you choose silence over speech, you communicate boundaries without saying a word. You generate intrigue, compelling others to ponder your motives without the clutter of articulated commitments. This does not mean silence is devoid of responsibility. Rather, it's about strategically withholding certainty to promote flexibility in relationships. Individuals who wield silence effectively can create an aura of confidence, embodying the essence of self-control. They understand that not every thought needs to be manifested through words. This subtlety can serve as a protective measure against misinterpretations and hasty judgments. Ultimately, recognizing the strength derived from silence can empower you to chart a path of intention, where your next spoken phrase carries the weight of wisdom rather than mere obligation. By recognizing the impact of your spoken words and the formidable strength found in chosen silence, you cultivate a greater awareness of how to navigate relationships more effectively. Consider carefully what you commit to and when to embrace the quiet power of your thoughts. The dance between speech and silence holds the key to powerful connections and a life lived beyond the limitations of hollow promises. Why oversharing weakens authority and mystique. Oversharing creates an illusion of connection, but in reality, it often diminishes a person's authority. When individuals reveal too much about their thoughts, feelings, or personal lives, they expose vulnerabilities that can be exploited. This excessive transparency can blur the lines between personal and professional boundaries, making it difficult for others to view them as capable leaders or influential figures. The essence of mystique lies in the ability to keep certain aspects hidden, allowing others to perceive a sense of power that may not be immediately approachable. As credibility is built upon the perception of knowledge and expertise, Oversharing can undermine this by presenting a version of oneself that feels less competent and less authoritative. People who wield great influence often understand the value of strategic withholding. By maintaining control over what information is divulged, they can project an image of confidence and intelligence that fosters respect and admiration. In contrast, those who share indiscriminately risk being seen as needy for attention or approval, further eroding their position of authority. It's vital to recognize that transparency is not necessarily the same as vulnerability. Instead, it's about finding the right balance, offering enough to be relatable while maintaining a core of mystery that draws people in and makes them eager to learn more. History provides numerous examples where the power of silence has proven more effective than words. Consider the late Steve Jobs, who was known for his enigmatic presence. His reluctance to share every detail about Apple's product development created a sense of anticipation and excitement around launches. Customers and competitors alike were left guessing, which heightened his authority as an innovative leader. Jobs understood that withholding information strategically allowed him to command a stronger presence in the tech industry, keeping fans and critics intrigued and engaged without spilling every detail. Another example is the concept of the less is more strategy, often used by effective communicators. Think of political leaders who carefully choose their words and maintain a calm demeanor during crises. During uncertain times, a leader who opts for concise, thoughtful messages rather than endless rhetoric can not only convey strength, but also reassure their audience. By embracing silence or minimalistic communication, they bolster their magnetism and make others more willing to listen. The takeaway here is that strategically navigating silence or limiting oversharing can position individuals not just as leaders, but as icons of authority whose words carry weight and depth. To effectively invoke this dynamic, practice restraint in sharing personal details and choose the right moments to reveal insights. Curate your narrative with intention. By doing so, you create a sense of anticipation, leading others to seek your counsel and perspective. After all, in the realm of influence, sometimes less truly is more. How powerful people guard their thoughts until strategically necessary. Powerful individuals understand the weight of their words. Every statement is a brushstroke that paints a larger picture, and so they are deliberate in what they say and when they choose to speak. Thoughtfulness becomes a cornerstone in their communication style. They engage in a mental dialogue far before any vocal expression occurs. This meticulous approach allows them to craft not just their message, but also the context in which it is delivered. It becomes a form of art where clarity meets strategy, ensuring their insights resonate deeply with their audience. By valuing introspection over impulsive reactions, they become master strategists in dialogue, able to maneuver complex conversations and relationships with ease. The power of silence is not lost on them. It's a strategic pause, a moment of reflection that often speaks louder than words. Silence, then, transforms from a void into a powerful communicative tool, a means to amplify essential messages. When powerful figures finally choose to voice their thoughts, the impact is magnified exponentially. That period of silence creates anticipation. Their audience hangs on their every word, fully engaged and ready to absorb. This technique turns mere announcements into pivotal moments, whereby the information delivered carries not just facts, but a weight of significance and authority. The absence of noise allows their message to echo through the minds of others long after it has been spoken. It sharpens focus and evokes curiosity, leading listeners to ponder, reflect, and ultimately grasp the profundity of their insights. In this way, silence is not just a pause. It is a calculated element of discourse that heightens the potency of what is said. Thus, the ability to guard one's thoughts until the moment is ripe doesn't merely serve powerful individuals. It transforms their communication strategy. The skill of strategic silence, coupled with thoughtful articulation, can elevate anyone's ability to connect. As you consider your own conversations, think of the potential in holding back your initial reactions. Take a moment to assess, to let your thoughts simmer before expressing them. This practice can greatly enhance not just your message, but also how you are perceived by others as a thoughtful and deliberate communicator. Chapter 3. The 3 forms of strategic silence. Information gathering silence. Silence has a profound power that often goes unnoticed. In conversations, it acts as a catalyst for understanding, allowing the minds around us to breathe and fill the space with thoughts they might otherwise hold back. When we choose to embrace silence, we create an environment ripe for deeper insights and revelations. This is not merely about being quiet. It's about utilizing those moments of stillness as a strategic tool. Silence invites the other person to reflect, enabling them to articulate their feelings and ideas more clearly. People can sense when they are truly being listened to, and when they feel that energy, they are often more willing to share fragments of their inner worlds. By holding back our impulses to fill every pause with words, we give others the permission, sometimes even the courage, to express themselves fully and honestly. To harness the power of silence effectively, one must adopt specific techniques that can facilitate more profound listening and observation. First, practice the art of active listening, where the focus shifts entirely to the speaker without the anticipation of responding immediately. This shift allows the speaker to feel valued, encouraging them to delve into their thoughts without the pressure of a quick reply. Employing intentional pauses after a person finishes speaking can amplify this effect, allowing their insights to resonate and enabling your mind to process what was just shared. Additionally, nonverbal cues, such as nodding or maintaining eye contact, can promote engagement while you remain in your silence. This sends a subtle message that you are both present and fully invested in the conversation. By consciously choosing silence as a strategic response, you foster an atmosphere of trust and exploration, ensuring that every exchange is rich with potential for deeper understanding. As you refine this practice, you will discover that silence can become a powerful instrument in your communication toolkit. Authority-building silence. Silence has an unparalleled power in the theater of human interaction. When wielded strategically, it transforms not just the dynamic of conversations, but your very presence within any group. Consider the moments when words flood the space, and the clamor of opinions rises to a crescendo. It is in those very seconds that the impactful silence can steal the show. When you choose to pause, to allow silence to hang in the air, it elevates your status as one who thinks deeply and listens intently. The mere act of holding back words can command attention and respect as others instinctively feel the weight of your silence. It fosters an environment charged with anticipation, where your next utterance, when it comes, is infused with significance. In essence, silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a potent tool for establishing authority and influence. Implementing silence effectively requires a deft understanding of timing and context. One method is to integrate intentional pauses into your speech. After making a significant point, allow a moment of quiet to encourage contemplation. This not only gives others time to process your words, but builds a sense of expectation about what you might say next, drawing listeners in like moths to a flame. Furthermore, you can leverage silence to create admiration by strategically listening rather than interjecting. When engaged in discussions, resist the urge to fill every silence with your voice. Instead, nod thoughtfully, maintaining eye contact, and allow others to express themselves fully. When they realize you value their input without the need to dominate the conversation, their respect for you will swell, associating your calm demeanor with a profound strength of character. Lastly, practice your silence in different situations. Start in smaller groups where you feel comfortable, gradually applying these techniques to larger settings. Observe how those around you react to your newfound quiet authority. Reinforce this by coupling silence with body language. Lean slightly forward, lower your gaze, or hold a steady posture. These nonverbal cues enhance the message that you command respect through your presence, not merely your words. Understanding the art of silence will not only elevate your influence, but also enrich your interpersonal relationships and professional interactions, transforming how you are perceived in every encounter. Ambiguity-preserving silence. Silence, when laced with ambiguity, possesses an extraordinary power that invites imagination and speculation. It creates a space where the mind grapples with uncertainty, igniting the spark of creativity that might lie dormant in the verbose cacophony of everyday life. This type of silence doesn't scream for attention. Instead, it whispers, beckoning the audience to explore deeper meanings, to fill in the gaps with their own thoughts and emotions. In art, literature, and conversations, an embrace of ambiguity fosters an openness that enriches the experience. When the air is heavy with unspoken words, it allows listeners or readers to engage their imagination, casting personal shadows over the narrative. They begin to speculate about motivations, backstories, and untold truths, ultimately becoming co-creators in the dialogue. The unarticulated questions can resonate louder than clarifying statements, crafting an intricate tapestry of meaning woven from personal interpretation and a collective quest for understanding. To exploit this constructive ambiguity, strategists can employ deliberate techniques that maintain interest and engagement. One powerful method is to leave certain elements unresolved, allowing the audience's curiosity to bloom. Instead of providing clear answers, hint at deeper layers of meaning, encouraging exploration rather than deflection. Open-ended scenarios push participants to interact more meaningfully, driving them to invest emotionally in the narrative. This approach not only energizes discourse, but also opens avenues for diverse interpretations. Incorporating pauses in dialogue or nonverbal cues can amplify the impact, as silence can be more profound than spoken language. Building tension in a story by withholding information can invite the audience to lean closer, desperate to uncover what lies beneath the surface. In this manner, ambiguity acts not as a defect, but as a tool for engagement, captivating the audience's psyche and keeping them riveted to the unfolding narrative. When navigating the delicate balance of silence and ambiguity, remember that the best results stem from authenticity. Allow your own voice to linger in the silence. Craft it in a way that draws others in and encourages them to ponder. Treat the moments of ambiguity not as voids that need filling, but as opportunities for the audience to engage with the content on a personal level. By using silence as an ally in your storytelling, the layers of complexity will invite reflection and connection. Invite your audience to navigate their interpretations without fear, making the journey itself a vital component of the experience. This consciousness can lead to richer, more meaningful interactions, ultimately enhancing the impact of your message. Chapter 4. The Silent Negotiator. He who speaks first loses. The act of speaking first in negotiations often reveals a subtle dance of power. When one party opens the dialogue, they inadvertently set the stage, laying the groundwork for expectations and framing the entire exchange. This positioning can be a double-edged sword. While it may allow the speaker to assert dominance, it simultaneously risks exposing vulnerabilities. The first speaker essentially places a wager. Either the words spoken will solidify their stance, or they will reveal enough information for others to exploit. A master negotiator understands that by remaining silent, they create a void filled with anticipation and anxiety. Silence can be a powerful tool, for it compels the opponent to fill the space, often leading them to divulge more than intended. In this way, the one who holds their tongue may steer the negotiation without uttering a single word, subtly shifting control of the dialogue. Maintaining composure in the midst of silence is an art that requires practice and psychological finesse. To leverage this quietude, one must first embrace the discomfort that comes with it. When others speak, they often reveal not just their positions but their motivations, fears, and weaknesses. By resisting the urge to fill the silence with words, you allow your counterpart to expose themselves. Remaining composed means developing patience and an acute awareness of the emotional landscape in the room. It transforms the act of negotiation from a transactional process to a psychological exploration. Strategically using silence can unsettle even the most seasoned negotiators, often prompting them to reconsider their arguments or rush to fill the void with concessions. Remember, silence is not an absence of communication. It is an opportunity. In this delicate game of chess, your silence can usher in advantageous moves. Harness the power of quiet. Let the other party speak first, and listen, not just to their words, but to the silences between them. Mastering the dynamics of silence and speech can dramatically influence any negotiation. Practice the art of waiting, and you will find that sometimes the strongest position is the one that says the least. How silence destabilizes your opponent. Silence is more than just the absence of sound. It is a potent psychological tool that can unravel even the most steadfast opponent. When faced with silence, individuals often feel an unsettling sense of pressure. This pressure stems from the innate human tendency to fill voids, especially in conversation. As your opponent grapples with the unnerving quiet, their confidence begins to waver. They may second-guess their previous statements, doubt their strategy, or even question their own knowledge. This erosion of certainty is a strategic advantage, allowing you to observe and assess their reactions without distraction. Deliberate silence can compel your opponent to speak out of discomfort, providing you with insights into their thought processes or revealing their hidden fears. The longer you hold your silence, the deeper their unease grows, further eroding their composure and enhancing your psychological upper hand. Throughout history, silence has played a crucial role in negotiations. For instance, consider high-stakes diplomacy, where a pause can be more telling than an intricate speech. Negotiators often employ silence to demonstrate confidence in their position, making their counterpart uncomfortable in the process. There are countless instances where deals either thrived or failed based on the presence of silence. In one famous negotiation, a skilled diplomat simply remained silent after a contentious point was raised. As the silence stretched, the opponent, desperate to break the tension, offered concessions that had not been initially on the table. This was not an accident, but a calculated move to shift the momentum of the negotiation back to the diplomat, showcasing how silence can reshape the dynamics of any conversation. Understanding the power of silence also means recognizing when to use it strategically. In any interaction, monitoring the rhythm of dialogue can reveal key opportunities. A well-timed pause can prompt your opponent to reveal more than they intend, whether it's a half-formed objection or an emotional admission. Learning to embrace silence is not merely about withholding words. It is about creating space for others to fill those gaps, sometimes leading them right into a corner they never intended to be in. Consider integrating moments of deliberate quiet into your discussions, allowing the weight of silence to bear down on your opponents, giving you the advantage of information while they struggle with their own internal dialogue. Tactics to use silence as a power move. Silence is a powerful tool in negotiations, capable of shifting dynamics and disarming opponents. By strategically incorporating moments of silence into conversations, you allow for space and contemplation that can unsettle those who are accustomed to a more aggressive back-and-forth rhythm. When engaged in a negotiation, consider pausing after a significant point has been made or following a question that points towards discomfort or struggle. This silence compels the other party to fill the void, leading them to either clarify their position out of unease or reveal vital information that can be leveraged later. The trick lies in maintaining your composure, radiating confidence, and remaining attentive during these moments. Your silence, rather than being an absence, becomes an invitation for them to engage deeper, often uncovering truths they may not have been ready to expose. Silence also functions as a reflector of power dynamics. In scenarios where you feel overwhelmed or outmatched, using calculated pauses can alter the perceived balance of power. By reframing the narrative from being passive to being contemplative, you essentially regain control. Moreover, silence employed in the right context conveys thoughtfulness. It shows that you are considering the other party's words deeply, which can evoke respect. Consider moments in negotiations where the option to respond immediately presents itself, but you choose silence instead. This strategic use attracts attention and, paradoxically, gives your words more weight when you finally decide to break it. Understanding the optimal moments to introduce silence is equally important as its execution. There are specific scenarios across various negotiation landscapes where silence can serve as an unexpected tactical maneuver. For instance, when you know the other party is preparing to deliver a key piece of information or make a counteroffer, waiting silently allows the anticipation to build. This not only enhances your perceived authority, but also pressures the other person into sharing more than they initially intended. Silence anticipates their next move and subtly implies that you are unfazed by the tension. This can elicit a reaction that may work to your advantage, compromising their strategic positioning. Additionally, silence acts as an effective psychological strategy when emotions run high. In situations where discussions turn confrontational, choosing to respond with silence instead of engaging in a tit-for-tat can disarm escalating conflicts. It is about reading the room, recognizing that sometimes stepping back, both verbally and emotionally, can lead others to reconsider their stance. Your non-response can act as a catalyst for self-reflection for them, allowing their fury to dissipate and paving the way for a more rational discourse. By controlling your response through silence, you can often reshape the conversation in a way that benefits your end goals. Silence, wielded with awareness, can be a game-changing strategy in negotiations. Fine-tuning your ability to recognize these moments enhances your negotiation prowess, creating opportunities where you might have previously felt pressured to speak. Embrace the potency of silence and allow it to reshape the narrative you wish to create. The next time you find yourself in a heated discussion, let the silence serve you as a steadfast ally. Chapter 5. Silence as a Leadership Language. How great leaders use strategic silence to inspire fear, respect, and clarity. Silence, often underestimated, has been a powerful weapon in the arsenal of great leaders throughout history. Consider leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, whose deliberate pauses and quiet demeanor conveyed strength and resolve. His strategic use of silence during key moments amplified his message, making even the softest statement resonate deeply. Another example is Winston Churchill, whose eloquent oratory often included prolonged silences, allowing his audience to absorb weighty messages of resilience and determination. These moments of silence, carefully timed, created a tension that drew people in, making their words all the more impactful when they did speak. Historical accounts reveal a profound psychological understanding among these leaders. They recognize that silence can create an aura of mystery, forcing listeners to engage more fully with their thoughts. When leaders allow silence to fill the space, they do not merely command attention. They instill a sense of respect and fear, making others consider the gravity of the words that have yet to be spoken. Silence often speaks volumes, indicating the importance of what is not said in the moment. The art of silence extends beyond merely holding back words. It is about creating a canvas on which vision and purpose are painted. When leaders pause before responding or allow moments of silence in discussions, they encourage a thoughtful reflection on the ideas presented. This technique can clarify intentions and focuses the audience's attention. Silence allows leaders to craft a narrative that becomes more than just a collection of phrases. Each word carries weight. Each pause builds anticipation. Moreover, in a world saturated with noise and constant chatter, the ability to present one's vision through silence can be transformative. Leaders who master this art are often perceived as confident and composed, instilling trust and clarity in their teams. When a leader stands still amidst chaos, choosing silence over needless commentary, it sends a message of strength and assurance. This strategic use of silence not only articulates a sense of purpose, but also builds a conduit for authentic connection, inviting others to embrace the vision being shared. To harness the power of silence in your own leadership journey, start by incorporating intentional pauses in your conversations. Allow moments of reflection and absorb the reactions of others. This simple adjustment can transform the dynamics of your interactions, fostering a deeper understanding and reinforcing your role as a confident leader. Why mystery builds myth. Silence often holds a power that words cannot capture. It envelopes us like a shroud, creating an aura of mystery that intrigues the mind and invites speculation. This interplay between silence and mystery forms the backbone of many legendary figures and stories. Think of the enigmatic spirits of folklore, the ghostly echoes of history that elude our understanding, and the characters whose lives are draped in obscurity. Legends thrive in the shadows. They gain their strength from the things left unspoken. When we know little, our imagination takes flight, crafting its own narratives that fill in the blanks. It is this elusive quality that elevates individuals from mere mortals to icons, as their silence becomes as defining as their deeds. The legendary status is not merely a product of actions, but a complex tapestry woven from the threads of intrigue, ambiguity, and the uncharted territories of human experience. The CEO who speaks last and says the least. Silence can be a powerful tool in the arsenal of a successful CEO. The executives who dominate their fields often understand the subtleties of communication, recognizing that less is more. By choosing their words carefully and speaking infrequently yet deliberately, they cultivate an air of authority and wisdom. This behavior invites others to listen more intently, knowing that when the CEO chooses to speak, there's substance behind the silence. Engaging with fewer words allows them to cut through the noise of habitual chatter, focusing instead on the critical messages that set the tone for the organization. Their rare contributions become treasured insights, shaping company culture and strategic direction without the clutter of constant dialogue. In this dynamic, silence itself becomes a form of communication, signaling confidence and a capacity for thoughtful contemplation that others naturally gravitate towards. Successful CEOs employ several strategies to maintain their authority while still actively involving their teams. One notable method is the art of asking questions rather than providing answers. By positioning themselves as curious learners, they invite team members to share their thoughts and expertise, fostering an environment of collaboration and innovation. Moreover, they often leverage strategic pauses in conversations, giving their team space to think and respond, a practice that empowers others and demonstrates respect for their input. Additionally, employing storytelling techniques can engage employees emotionally, making messages resonate more deeply without the need for lengthy speeches. These leaders also recognize the importance of body language and presence, often using nonverbal cues to communicate openness and attentiveness, which reinforces their authority. Ultimately, effective engagement is about balancing silence with strategic interventions, where authority doesn't stifle dialogue, but instead enhances it. Leaders seeking to embody this approach should consciously practice silence in meetings or conversations, allowing others to fill the space with their thoughts and ideas. By doing so, they become orchestrators of dialogue rather than mere participants, establishing a culture of mutual respect and open communication. Chapter 6: The Transparency Trap. Why authenticity is being weaponized. Enforced authenticity, paradoxically, often leads to a suppression of true self-expression. When society demands that individuals be authentic in their personal and professional lives, the pressure to conform to this ideal can become overwhelming. People begin to measure their worth against a standard of authenticity defined by external forces, social media norms, celebrity influences, or even workplace cultures. Instead of embracing their unique qualities and vulnerabilities, many start to mask their authentic selves in favor of a version that aligns with perceived societal expectations. This phenomenon creates a peculiar dynamic where the very act of striving for authenticity can lead to a performative version of self-expression, robbing individuals of genuine connection and self-acceptance. As the lines between performance and reality blur, the true essence of who we are risks being lost in a facade meticulously crafted to gain approval. This enforced transparency infiltrates personal branding, shaping how trust is constructed in our social interactions. Today, vulnerability is often marketed as strength. Showing emotional depth is a currency in a world that craves relatable figures. However, this commodification of authenticity can backfire, leading to skepticism and a pervasive sense of distrust. When individuals curate their lives online, presenting polished versions of themselves, the facade shines brightly, but the cracks within reveal a deeper insecurity regarding one's worth. Audiences are left to decipher what is true and what is cleverly staged. As public figures and influencers share snippets of their lives that appear painfully honest, they inadvertently set benchmarks that others feel pressured to meet. This creates a cycle where the need for validation transforms authenticity into a tool for personal branding, leading to an erosion of trust. People become increasingly cynical, questioning the motives behind these displays of transparency. Consequently, relationships, both personal and professional, suffer as trust diminishes and genuine connection becomes harder to forge amidst the backdrop of constructed realities. Instead of diving into this authenticity race where the goal seems to be vulnerability for visibility, it is vital to take a step back and reassess our definitions of authenticity and trust. One practical approach is to cultivate self-awareness, reminding ourselves that true authenticity doesn't require validation from others. By focusing on our own values and experiences rather than external benchmarks, we can reclaim the authenticity that feels genuine and sustainable. Prioritizing authentic expressions that resonate internally rather than those performed for an audience helps establish meaningful connections grounded in trust and sincerity, an antidote to a society that often wields authenticity as a weapon rather than a shield. Oversharing as modern-day self-sabotage. Oversharing is more than just a trend. It is a deep-seated behavior with significant consequences. When individuals divulge too much personal information, they often unwittingly erode their own influence and respect. This erosion occurs because the details shared can foster an impression of vulnerability, inconsistency, or even emotional instability. In a social landscape where power dynamics are subtly dictated by perception, oversharing can lower one's status in the eyes of others, transforming the aura of mystery, which typically garners respect, into one of oversaturation. Instead of being seen as reliable and composed, the oversharer can begin to appear needy or attention-seeking, qualities that repel rather than attract respect. Consider the case of a professional who, eager for validation, shares intimate details about their struggles during a team meeting. While aiming to foster a sense of camaraderie, they inadvertently place themselves in a position of weakness. Colleagues may offer sympathy, but often lose confidence in that person's ability to lead. This shifting perception can lead to a slower response to their ideas or diminished credibility when making decisions. In stark contrast, a more reserved approach often leaves colleagues wanting to know more, thus enhancing one's aura of influence. Personal anecdotes reveal the nuanced impact of oversharing. A 30-something professional shared her experience of revealing her divorce details on social media. What she thought was a wave of unconditional support quickly transformed into whispers behind her back. Rather than receiving empathy, her peers began to question her emotional stability and reliability, essential traits in her collaborative job environment. Similarly, in a digital case study of various influencers, those who revealed personal struggles too frequently appeared to lose engagement over time, as followers became fatigued rather than connected. This shift underscores a crucial lesson. Vulnerability can be disarming, yet excessive openness can drive a wedge between ourselves and others. These stories emphasize a critical need for discernment in what we share. It is not about stifling openness, but recognizing the power dynamics that govern social interactions. Being strategic about the details we divulge can preserve our influence and foster deeper, more meaningful connections. Focusing on sharing stories that highlight resilience or strength instead of constant vulnerability can ensure that we maintain respect and authority in our interactions. When engaging in dialogues, it is wise to blend personal elements with professional insights, steering clear of oversaturation while remaining relatable and authentic. The myth of radical openness. The idea that radical openness is a hallmark of strength is a myth that has taken root in many areas of life. It presents an alluring facade, the notion that by being entirely vulnerable and transparent, one can foster trust and connection. However, this conviction often overlooks the complexities of human interaction and emotion. Complete openness can be equated with a persistent state of exposure, and when individuals lay bare every thought, feeling, or detail of their lives, they may inadvertently invite chaos rather than intimacy. Many find themselves feeling overwhelmed by the weight of unfiltered honesty. The expectation that one must share everything can lead to anxiety and a sense of inadequacy, as it raises the stakes for living authentically. The reality is that strategic withholding can be just as authentic as overt displays of vulnerability. Embracing selective sharing protects boundaries and nurtures self-respect. To navigate the potential pitfalls of radical openness, one can adopt a more discerning approach to sharing. Instead of bearing one's soul in every interaction, consider the context and the audience. Determine what level of openness serves the relationship, be it professional or personal. Establish boundaries that do not compromise personal integrity but still allow for meaningful connections. Use the concept of vulnerability as currency wisely. It can build trust when shared judiciously but can backfire when exploited. Foster authenticity in conversations without revealing every thought, adopting a more strategic form of openness that facilitates deeper understanding while maintaining personal reserves. Lastly, cultivate emotional literacy. Understanding one's own feelings and those of others can illuminate when to engage in deeper conversations and when to hold back. This nuanced approach will transform interactions, making space for genuine connections without the burdens of radical vulnerability. Chapter 7. Mystique and Minimal Disclosure. The Art of Selective Self-Revelation. Selectively sharing personal details about yourself can create a magnetic allure, drawing others in while keeping certain parts of your life just out of reach. This balance is crucial. It allows you to maintain an air of mystery, fostering intrigue without laying your entire soul bare. People are drawn to those who aren't an open book. They crave the thrill of discovery. Sharing just enough, perhaps a quirky hobby, a challenging experience, or a unique perspective, can spark curiosity without exposing your vulnerabilities. The key is to curate your stories and insights to highlight the parts of yourself that resonate most while concealing the raw edges. The art lies in knowing when to reveal and when to retain, an elegant dance of transparency and enigma that can enhance your social interactions and relationships. When navigating the delicate balance of what to reveal and what to conceal, consider starting with smaller, less impactful disclosures. These can serve as a litmus test for how others react, informing your future choices about deeper aspects of your personality. By observing how your audience responds, you can gauge the right moments, the right details, and the right context for deeper revelations. A well-timed, insightful glimpse into your authentic self can become a powerful tool for connection and empathy, but it's vital to remain in control of your narrative. This mindful curation of self-revelation is not just about safeguarding your privacy. It's about inviting others into a dance of intrigue that can turn casual acquaintances into meaningful relationships. Trust your instincts, and remember, the art lies in both the revelation and the discretion. Why less access equals more intrigue? Less availability can create a magnetic pull, a kind of allure that draws people in. When something is scarce, it inherently becomes more valuable in our minds. People naturally gravitate towards what they cannot easily access. This principle is profoundly rooted in human psychology. The gap between desire and attainment ignites curiosity and prompts deeper engagement. Think of rare collectibles or exclusive events. Their limited nature stirs excitement, making people eager to learn more. When we face a lack of access, it triggers our innate survival instincts, propelling us to seek out what's elusive. The consequence? Increased intrigue. This can be seen in relationships too, where emotional distance can often lead to a heightened desire to connect. By withholding a bit of ourselves, we might entice others to pursue us, deepening their interest and involvement. Finding the right balance between being available and creating intrigue requires a nuanced approach. It involves understanding the art of withholding just enough to keep interest alive while ensuring that connections aren't severed. One effective strategy is to share experiences or insights selectively, giving glimpses into your life that spark curiosity without revealing everything. Think of it as a curated showcase rather than an open book. Engage in conversations that invite questions. Create a space where others can explore and discover more about you. This doesn't mean being disingenuous. It's about highlighting specific aspects that foster deeper connections. Additionally, setting boundaries, whether personal or professional, sends a clear message about value. By being present and yet slightly elusive, you build a dynamic where others feel compelled to bridge the gap, enhancing the overall connection. Remember, the allure of mystery can be a powerful tool in sustaining interest and engagement. One practical tip is to share stories that have layers. Create narratives that invite others to ask for more details, allowing them to engage with you on their terms. This not only elevates the interaction, but also makes them feel invested in you without you revealing every ounce of your story at once. In this way, you cultivate meaningful connections while maintaining an air of intrigue. How to become interesting by becoming unpredictable. Unpredictability captures attention like nothing else. When people encounter the unexpected, their brains light up in curiosity. This burst of attention creates an opportunity for deeper connections. Each surprising moment invites a question, fosters intrigue, and encourages engagement. Think of the magician who leaves their audience spellbound with an astonishing trick. The element of surprise draws them in, creating a shared experience that goes deeper than mere observation. When you break free from the mundane patterns that often govern behavior, you invite others to explore the layers beneath your surface, revealing your authentic self. Unpredictability keeps conversations dynamic, breaks the routine, and plants the seeds for memorable interactions. To enhance your appeal through calculated enigma, embrace the art of subtle contradictions. Allow your personality to reflect a mosaic of interests and opinions that may seem at odds. One moment, you might showcase your analytical side by discussing philosophical concepts, and the next, you might engage in lighthearted banter about pop culture. This fluidity not only piques curiosity, but also lets others see diverse facets of your character. Engaging in spontaneous adventures, be it a sudden road trip or an unplanned gathering, also fosters a sense of excitement and unpredictability. By occasionally stepping outside your comfort zone, you create an aura of intrigue around yourself, inviting people to wonder what you'll do next. This kind of dynamism cultivates a compelling magnetism that draws people in and keeps them captivated. To harness the power of unpredictability, consider sprinkling spontaneity into your interactions without sacrificing authenticity. Share unexpected opinions, introduce surprising facts, or adopt an imaginative storytelling style that deviates from the norm. Keep in mind that this is not about being rash or erratic, but rather about maintaining a sense of playfulness infused with intention. By weaving unpredictability into the fabric of your personality, you become a source of intrigue and fascination for those around you. This strategy not only transforms your interactions, but also encourages others to embrace their own unpredictability, deepening connections in ways they never thought possible. Chapter 8. The Strategic Whisperer. Speak only when speech serves a purpose. Communication flourishes when it is grounded in purpose. When each word, each utterance, is selected with intention, the dialogue shifts from mere sound to impactful message. This principle underscores the importance of reflecting on why we choose to speak at all. Purpose-driven communication not only enhances understanding, but also deepens connection. It transforms an ordinary exchange into a significant moment that resonates with those involved. The clarity of purpose gives weight to our words, ensuring they are not just heard but felt. In a world overflowing with noise, the ability to filter out the superfluous and focus on the essential elevates conversations, making them more meaningful. Making a conscious choice to speak only when it serves a purpose can significantly increase the efficacy of our interactions, leading to greater mindfulness and a more profound impact on our audience. Less frequent speech cultivates an aura of precision and authority. When you choose to speak less, every word you utter becomes a currency of value and significance. This perception is often rooted in the psychological principle that rarity increases value. By reserving our words for moments that truly demand them, we invite listeners to engage deeply, creating anticipation for what we will say next. This measured approach fosters an environment where messages stand out, transforming the landscape of communication into one where silence becomes as powerful as speech itself. Intentionality in our dialogue not only enhances the content, but also builds our credibility. Each announcement carries the weight of our authenticity, encouraging others to lend their ears with respect and trust. When we respect our audience's time and attention, they are more likely to absorb and respond with the intensity our words deserve. Practicing purpose-driven communication requires self-awareness and clarity of thought. Assess every situation critically before you decide to speak. Ask yourself if what you're about to say contributes meaningfully to the conversation or the relationship at hand. This reflective practice can enhance not just personal interactions, but also broader discussions in professional and social settings. Consider adopting a mantra, such as pause before I speak, to give yourself the space to think deeply about the purpose of your words. With this simple shift, you might discover that your voice carries more influence and your connections run deeper because you have chosen to invest your words thoughtfully. How to make words cut like a scalpel, not spill like water. Precision in language is not merely about selecting the right words. It is about structuring thoughts in a way that cuts through ambiguity and illuminates the core of complex ideas. In a world overloaded with information, where noise often drowns out clarity, the ability to articulate your thoughts with surgical precision is invaluable. It's about distilling the essence of an idea down to its most potent form, where every word serves a purpose and contributes to the understanding of your audience. The key to this skill lies in recognizing the power of brevity, crafting sentences that are lean, forceful, and pregnant with meaning, leaving no room for misinterpretation. It's an art that invites one to peel off layers of nonsense and confusion, allowing your audience to grasp intricate concepts without drowning in a sea of superfluous details. To distill ideas into powerful messages that resonate with clarity, start by honing in on your key message. What is it that you're really trying to convey? Removing distractions and eliminating excess words helps sharpen your focus. Use metaphors and analogies to clarify complex concepts, drawing parallels that make your message not only understandable but relatable. Each sentence should build upon the last, guiding your reader through a logical progression rather than a confusing maze. Strike the right balance between simplicity and sophistication. Your language should be accessible yet rich in insight. The goal is to create a vivid picture in the mind of your reader, wrapping them in the narrative without overwhelming them with jargon or ambiguity. When your message resonates, it creates a ripple effect, enabling your audience to engage deeply with the ideas you present. A practical approach to mastering this level of precision is the revision process. Writing is rewriting. It's during revisions that you refine your thoughts, chisel away unnecessary words, and strengthen your arguments. After drafting your piece, step away for a moment, then return with fresh eyes. Ask yourself, does every word contribute to your message? If not, remove it. Seek feedback from others. It can uncover blind spots in your clarity and precision. Finally, practice regularly. The more you engage with words, the more intuitive this process becomes. In a world where effective communication is a cornerstone of success, let your words cut like a scalpel, creating clarity and cutting through the noise. Building presence through restraint. In a world filled with noise, social media notifications, constant information bombardment, and the incessant chatter of everyday life, individuals often feel the pressure to amplify their voices to be heard. Yet, the undeniable truth lies in the contradiction that restraint can serve as a powerful tool to enhance one's presence. When a person holds back from overexposing their thoughts or emotions, they create a magnetism that draws others in. It is the quiet, confident individual who seemingly holds the room in their presence. This paradox reveals that silence does not equate to absence. Rather, it can be a strategic choice that asserts authority and elegance. In contrast to the din that pervades interactions, those who embrace restraint can elevate their status in subtle yet profound ways. A well-timed pause can resonate louder than any string of words. It allows for a moment of anticipation, fostering curiosity among listeners. By choosing when to speak, you cultivate a sense of intentionality around your dialogue. The resulting intrigue encourages people to lean in closer, ultimately magnifying your presence in a landscape cluttered with the extraneous noise of modern communication. The art of silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is an active choice, one that can be harnessed to project assurance and sophistication. First, recognize the power of pauses in conversation. Strategic pauses create a rhythm, allowing your words to land with weight. When you pause before responding, it signals contemplation, suggesting that your insights are not hasty but deeply considered. When others sense this care, your authority is naturally amplified. Additionally, practicing active listening fosters a sense of connection while simultaneously enhancing your own presence. By focusing intently on others, you exude confidence in your ability to engage without the need to dominate the discussion. Use your silence to invite others to share their thoughts, thereby creating an atmosphere of mutual respect and invitation. The more you listen, the more you become a sought-after conversational partner, drawing people into your orbit. Lastly, consider the physical aspect of restraint. Your body language speaks volumes. Maintaining open and relaxed postures while keeping verbal contributions minimal can heighten your mystique. When you occupy space without feeling the need to fill it with sound, you become a powerful, almost ethereal figure, a person of grace whose presence is felt rather than just seen. Embracing silence in these ways not only enriches your own experience, but transforms how others perceive and interact with you. Start by noticing the moments in conversations where you can hold back, allowing silence to do the work for you. Begin with small pauses in dialogue, and with practice, notice how your authority and grace grow in tandem with your deliberate restraint. Chapter 9: Social Power in an Overexposed Age. From boardrooms to social media. How to become the most powerful person in the room by saying the least. Understanding the dynamics of power in communication requires an exploration of how we interact across diverse platforms. In boardrooms, the spoken word reigns supreme, yet it is often the unsaid that commands the most respect. Silence can be a powerful tool, allowing others to fill the void with their thoughts, making them believe they are in control. This principle applies equally on social media, where brevity often trumps verbosity. A well-placed meme, a powerful quote, or a striking image can convey profound insights far more effectively than paragraphs of text. Power thrives in clarity and depth, coupled with an economical use of words. The dynamics shift as platforms diversify. Each has its own etiquette and rules where silence can amplify your signal amidst the static of everyone vying for attention. To cultivate influence through silence, one must first recognize the value of listening in conversations. When you engage less, you allow others to express and share ideas, making them more likely to seek your thoughts in return. This strategic withholding can build intrigue and respect, as others begin to perceive you as someone with deeper insights. Practice active listening, where you not only hear but genuinely understand and reflect on what others are saying. Use pauses intentionally. They can linger in the air, prompting others to fill them, and in doing so, revealing their own positions and weaknesses. Moreover, in your written communications, whether it be a tweet or a status update, aim for precision and impact. Stripping away superfluous information enhances your message's clarity. Embrace the strength of a minimalist approach. Sometimes, saying less is not just more, it is everything. Always remember that power is not simply in the words spoken, but also in the deliberate moments of silence that command attention and respect. The quiet friend, the silent CEO, the unreadable rival. The world often reverberates with the exuberant voices of the outgoing and the articulate, yet it is the quieter figures who masterfully shape invisible dynamics beneath the surface. The quiet friend in our social circles, the silent CEO in the boardroom, and the unreadable rival in the arena, each calls attention to an essential truth. Power can reside in restraint. These characters do not rely on grand gestures or loud proclamations. Instead, they wield influence through subtlety and strategic silence. Their presence can unnerve the overly forthright, shifting the balance of power without uttering a single word. The quiet friend observes and listens, often understanding the nuances of interpersonal relationships better than those who dominate conversations. Their insights, drawn from mere observation, can guide decisions and offer perspectives others might overlook. The silent CEO, the one who rarely makes headlines yet commands loyalty and respect, illustrates another dimension. This figure embodies a potent form of leadership, challenging the stereotype that visibility equates to effectiveness. Instead, they cultivate a culture of trust and empowerment, allowing others to shine. Such leaders maintain a firm grasp on the organizational pulse, subtly guiding their companies through turbulence while remaining largely in the background. The unreadable rival, on the other hand, introduces an element of unpredictability into competitive scenarios. Their reticent nature makes it difficult to discern intentions or strategies, creating a psychological edge that can be disarming. Each archetype illustrates that silence can foster an environment where actions speak louder than words, demonstrating that the unvoiced often navigate spaces no less impactful than those who fill airwaves with sound. The perception of being quietly formidable carries with it rich psychological implications, suggesting a depth of character that's both alluring and intimidating. Individuals who embody this trait often possess an inner strength that does not need validation through volume or bravado. This perceived mystique can become a double-edged sword. While it may inspire admiration, it can simultaneously evoke fear or uncertainty in others. The silently formidable person effortlessly creates social hierarchies with posture and presence alone, leading to a unique form of influence that is both subtle and profound. In environments where noise often drowns out meaningful contributions, their calm demeanor stands out, demanding attention without effort. Chapter 10: Training the Discipline of Silence. How to resist the urge to speak. One of the fundamental challenges in communication arises from the human tendency to fill silence with words. This impulse can lead to shallow interactions, misunderstanding, or even regret. To build awareness and control over this urge, you first must acknowledge its roots. Often, the need to speak fills an insecurity. The silence feels heavy, and we instinctively reach for words to alleviate the weight. Begin by practicing active listening, truly absorbing what others say, rather than preparing your next statement while they are still speaking. This demands that you cultivate a heightened sense of awareness, observing the nuances in voice and body language. Try pausing for a few seconds after someone finishes a thought, allowing the silence to linger. In that moment, reflect on what was just shared. This practice not only deepens your understanding, but also allows you the space to decide if your input is genuinely necessary. Over time, replacing impulsive reactions with thoughtful restraint empowers you to become more intentional in your conversations. Mindfulness practices are central to transforming your relationship with silence. By becoming more observant rather than reactive, you can unlearn the urge to speak out of habit or discomfort. Techniques such as meditation or focused breathing enhance your ability to remain present. Set aside a few moments each day to sit quietly, paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and the sensations around you. When faced with a conversation, draw from this practice. Take a breath before responding and allow yourself to simply observe. Observe the feelings that arise in silence. Perhaps there is tension, or perhaps a profound peace. By engaging in this level of awareness, you position yourself to respond thoughtfully instead of reflexively. Over time, this can transform not only how you communicate, but also how you relate to others and to yourself. To further this exploration, consider using a journal to capture instances where you felt the urge to fill silence and how you managed or regretfully succumbed to that impulse. Write about the outcomes of each interaction. Did your additional words contribute to or detract from the conversation? This reflective practice builds an insightful map of your communication patterns, illuminating paths towards meaningful silence. As you become more attuned to these dynamics, You foster an enriched communication style that is both bold and calming. Silence will no longer be a void to fill, but a space to embrace, allowing you to cultivate richer, more authentic connections. Developing your silence reflex in meetings, relationships, and conflicts. Silence can be powerful, often louder than words. In challenging scenarios, be it a heated meeting, a fraught conversation, or a rising conflict, cultivating a reflex for silence can shift dynamics in profound ways. To benefit from silence, start by being mindful of your breathing. When tensions arise, take a deep breath and allow a moment of pause. This practice gives you the space to consider your response carefully, instead of reacting from emotion. Establishing a routine of conscious breathing can help train your mind to embrace silence first. Moreover, visualizing silence as a protective cloak can empower you to wear it with confidence. Imagine entering stressful situations wrapped in this cloak, feeling emotions dissipate as you focus inward. Real-life exercises are crucial for making silence your instinct. In daily interactions, challenge yourself to pause before you speak, even if just for a few seconds. During conversations, especially ones filled with emotion, practice the art of listening. Instead of formulating your reply in your head, immerse yourself in the speaker's words. Notice how this shifts your engagement. By being fully present, you not only absorb what's being said but also pave the way for deeper understanding. Start small. In meetings, deliberately interject silence after a question or proposal. Use this time to observe reactions or feelings in the room, gauging the unspoken tensions that words often obscure. As you refine this skill, you'll find that silence becomes a strategic tool rather than an uncomfortable void. Ultimately, developing your silence reflex isn't just about withholding words. It's about depth and strategy in your communication practices. Embrace silence as a moment for clarity and thought, a stepping stone to more meaningful dialogues. In moments of conflict, allow yourself to remain silent a moment longer than feels comfortable. In this silence, reflection can guide your responses, transforming confrontations into conversations. As you grow familiar with this approach, you'll unlock the insights lurking beneath the surface, revealing true intentions and emotions. Remember, silence isn't absence. It's presence, power, and the pathway to profound engagement. Silence as a daily power practice. Incorporating silence into daily routines can dramatically enhance personal power and focus. The world we navigate is an incessant barrage of noise, both external and internal. Intentional silence acts as an antidote to this overstimulation, offering a precious space where the mind can recalibrate. Consider the early morning moments before anyone else stirs. Find a quiet nook where you can sit undisturbed. Allow those minutes to stretch, where the only sound is the gentle rhythm of your breath. This practice not only sharpens your focus, but also deepens your connection to your inner self. It is within this stillness that clarity emerges, guiding your decisions and amplifying your creativity. As you weave these moments of silence into your day, whether through meditation, mindfulness, or simply pausing in a still environment, you build a reservoir of calm that propels you forward with intention. Encouraging regular periods of reflection fortifies grounding in silence. It's crucial to recognize that silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is the fertile ground for introspection. Reflection allows you to sift through thoughts and feelings accumulated throughout the day. This practice could be as simple as journaling in silence each evening. By documenting your thoughts, you give them form, transforming intangible stressors into tangible insights. This process clarifies priorities and illuminates paths previously shrouded in uncertainty. Create rituals around this reflective silence, perhaps at day's end or after a significant encounter. Gradually, you will see how such moments strengthen your emotional resilience, align your actions with your values, and empower you to navigate life's complexities with greater ease. Ultimately, silencing the cacophony around you reveals the strength within, allowing you to move forward with a sense of purpose. Consider this. Even a few moments of silence can have a profound effect on your daily life. As you embrace silence, remember it is not a void to be feared, but a powerful tool to be wielded. Adjust your routine to establish these quieter moments, and allow them to naturally extend as you grow more comfortable in your own company. Through discipline and consistency, the practice of silence can become a cornerstone of your personal empowerment strategy, clarifying your thoughts and choices even amidst chaos. Conclusion: silence is a strategy, not a deficiency. In a world obsessed with volume, those who speak less are remembered more. Strategic silence is often misinterpreted as weakness, but in reality, it serves as a powerful tool that can separate the exceptional from the ordinary. In a society where the loudest voices capture the most attention, those who choose their words carefully stand out all the more. This skill requires the courage to embrace silence in moments crowded with noise. The ability to hold back, to assess, and to contemplate before expressing oneself is a mark of not just intelligence but strength. When we learn to speak less, we create space for reflection, both for ourselves and for our audience. Rather than rushing into the fray with hasty proclamations, the exceptional individual takes a moment to consider the weight of their words, ensuring that what they do choose to share reverberates in the minds of others long after it has been spoken. The impact of quiet accomplishments cannot be overstated. They often linger in the collective memory of society more than any loud claim ever could. Those who achieve greatness without seeking the spotlight tend to leave a more enduring legacy. Consider the stories of innovators who transformed their fields with their ideas rather than their volume. Their quiet persistence, dedication, and humility render them unforgettable, while the loudest declarations often fade into obscurity. It is the subtle victories, the behind-the-scenes efforts, that garner respect and admiration over time. The soft voice can carry the weight of profound truths, whereas bold, boastful declarations frequently crumble under scrutiny. Individuals who grasp this concept understand that achievements whispered among friends can build a network of respect and recognition far beyond those who merely shout their accolades from the rooftops. To cultivate this skill, consider practicing mindful communication. Before engaging in a conversation, take a moment to assess the value of your words. Ask yourself, what do I hope to achieve with this dialogue? Am I adding to the noise, or am I offering something meaningful? Trimming the excess from our conversations gives our contributions more weight. By embracing silence and learning to strike when the iron is hot, we can ensure that when we do speak, our words not only resonate, but are also remembered long after the conversation ends. You don't have to prove anything if you're unshakable. In a world where validation often feels like currency, true strength lies in self-acceptance. Encouraging self-acceptance isn't just a platitude. It's the bedrock of confidence that allows us to flourish without the incessant need for others' approval. When you reach a point of unshakable self-worth, the external opinions of others simply fall away. You stop straining for recognition, and instead, you start to recognize the power within yourself. This intrinsic belief means that your value doesn't fluctuate based on the whims of those around you. Instead of chasing likes, comments, or praise, you delve deep into your own essence, allowing your belief in yourself to become the fuel for your ambitions. Think of every time you have felt the urge to seek validation. It's often rooted in insecurity, and with a firm foundation of self-acceptance, those insecurities begin to dissipate. You'll find that the freedom to pursue your passions emerges when you realize you don't owe anyone an explanation for who you are. Self-reliance goes hand in hand with authenticity, carving a unique path that sets you free from the chains of approval-seeking behavior. When you depend on your own judgment, you naturally cultivate a deeper connection with who you truly are. This detachment from the need for external validation creates a space where your instincts and intuitions can flourish. Authenticity stems from a place of honesty with oneself. It becomes your guiding light, steering you away from the distortions of societal expectations. Those who are self-reliant create their legacy, grounded in personal truth rather than borrowed ideals. Your perspective, shaped by your experiences, becomes the foundation upon which new ideas and self-expression can build. This shift in mindset not only enhances creativity, but it also fosters resilience in the face of criticism or rejection. Each time you choose authenticity over approval, you reinforce the strength of your character, crafting a narrative that's unapologetically yours. As you navigate the journey toward being unshakable, consider adopting daily practices that nurture self-acceptance and self-reliance. Start by affirming your own worth through simple daily reflections. Write down what you appreciate about yourself, focusing on traits you admire and accomplishments that resonate with your core values. Create a mantra that resonates with your commitment to authenticity, repeating it during moments of self-doubt. Engage with your passions without the cloud of judgment, and remember that your endeavor to live authentically is a courageous act in itself. Recognize that you are the architect of your reality, and that your acceptance of yourself is the most profound form of validation. The more you cultivate this outlook, the more you'll realize that you don't have to prove anything. Simply being you will suffice. Let your results be your microphone. Achievements hold a power that words often fail to capture. In an era where expressions abound and proclamations are made daily, it is the tangible outcomes that resonate the most. Whether it's a successful project, a promotion, or a meaningful change in your community, results illustrate capability and dedication with an unspoken authority. They provide proof to the world that you've done what you said you could do. By taking a step back and letting your accomplishments echo, you create a space where actions are valued above discussions. This is not merely an exercise in humility. It's a strategic positioning that enables you to stand firm amidst a cacophony of empty claims. When your results speak, they demand attention and respect, bypassing the noise of mere words. Building your personal and professional life around concrete outcomes, rather than grand declarations, transforms your approach to success. It cultivates a mindset focused on growth, innovation, and authenticity. By setting specific, measurable goals, you can track progress and celebrate achievements, no matter how small. This orientation emphasizes accountability and propels you into a cycle of continuous improvement. Your reputation starts to shift from being someone who talks a lot about what they might achieve to being recognized as a person of substance who delivers. The desire to show your worth can often lead to superfluous chatter. Instead, harness that energy and direct it toward actionable steps. Adopt a mindset of results orientation in relationships, projects, and self-development, and notice how this transformation enables a deeper connection and respect among peers. As you navigate your journey, remember that every action you take is a statement about your values and aspirations. When the temptation arises to speak louder about your intentions, redirect that urge toward demonstrating it through your consistent efforts and outcomes. Craft a narrative where your actions substantiate your ambitions, thereby establishing a powerful view of yourself to others. Become a living example of the principle that outcomes are the ultimate microphone, amplifying your true voice in ways that mere words never can. Embrace this powerful shift. Let the story of your results champion your endeavors, making it clear that what you do carries far more weight than what you say. As you step into this mindset, keep a habit of reflecting on your achievements regularly, allowing their impact to motivate you in pursuing future goals. Silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's composure. It's influence. In a world obsessed with volume, the ones who dare to say less are the ones who get heard the most. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to fill every empty space. You don't have to broadcast your worth. You are your worth. Guard your thoughts. Choose your words like weapons. And remember, let your results be your microphone. Thank you for listening to Shut Up and Win, written and published by Mindful Literary. Now go. Win quietly.